And welcome everybody to Picks and Politics. I'm Dan Manarino, and it was a busy week in the world of politics. We finally, made it through New York's busy primary season. Whew. Though Mayor Mamdani's name wasn't on any ballot, it sure was a good night for him. So all three progressive candidates that he backed came out victorious. A major win for the more left wing of the Democratic Party. Claire Valdez winning in District 7. Daria Liza Avila Chevalier unseating longtime Congressman Adriano Espaillat. And Brad Lander cruised to victory over sitting Congressman Dan Goldman. Now, that race in particular, called practically the moment polls closed, Brad Lander blowing the congressman away, earning nearly double the amount of votes. Look at the numbers right there on your screen. And today, Brad Lander is going on the record. Hey, Mr. Lander's here in studio, so congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you.
We said it was a busy week. I'm sure it's been a busy couple days for you, feeling like a whirlwind here. Let me get into the fact that you were able to defeat a sitting congressman who won his last election by 40 points. What do you think the turning point was for the district and for you?
Yeah. First, I'm just a good, better ideological fit for that district. It's a progressive, passionate district, and that's the race I ran. Voters are tired. They're fed up with candidates who take a lot of corporate money, Wall Street, crypto. AIPAC want something new. And I think there's an energy moving in the city right now that people feel really strongly about. They want candidates who stand up and fight for working people, who don't take corporate money, and who want to see a reset in the U.S. relationship with Israel, including the Jewish members of my district.
I want to talk about what Hakeem Jeffries said. He reacted to the wins of Claire Valdez, Daria Liza Chevalier, and you, saying this, quote, "The mayor and I disagree about some of his endorsements. He's got work to do in terms of having conversations with members of Congress moving forward." He didn't sound like he was totally on board with all three of you winning here. What do you make of what Jeffries had to say?
I mean, look, primaries are a place where we work out differences within the party. So, you know, the existing leadership don't always love when someone runs an insurgent campaign and knocks out. But it's an important moment for the voters to have their say. And voters are saying to establishment Democrats and to politicians in general, we need to see some movement forward. We don't like what Donald Trump is doing, abducting our immigrant neighbors and corrupting our government. But we need to see Democrats who are fighting harder for working families.
Did you talk to Hakeem?
Yes.
Okay. What was that conversation?
That was a good conversation. I mean, he congratulated me. I have made clear I plan to vote to make him Speaker of the House. That will be a moment for progressives and moderates to come together. And we need to show a Democratic Party that's fighting harder for working people.
Yeah, and that is the conversation I've heard the last couple days, right? Is the state of the Democratic Party, and the three of your wins in particular has become a national conversation, particularly two of the wins being DSA members. So what do you think it means for the party right now? You had this commercial, you were on the slate with the candidates endorsed by Mamdani. What does it mean for the party?
I mean, I think there are some clear lessons for the party.
Yeah.
Don't take that corporate PAC money. Put it aside. People are tired. They're done with Wall Street and private equity and crypto and AIPAC and billionaires trying to buy elections. That's not what Democrats want. They want people who fight harder for working families on housing and health care and child care. I said in my election night remarks, let's focus on that health care vote. That was a great place of Democratic unity last year. Let's show next year we're only going to vote for a budget that restores the subsidies so people could have health care again. And I do think it sends a signal that Democratic voters don't want to keep paying for Netanyahu's wars, and Democratic leadership needs to hear that message.
And I heard the last couple of days, I've also heard, do Democrats consider DSA members Democrats?
Well, it's really unhelpful, I gotta say, when some more moderate Democratic leaders try to divide or split up the party. I've gone and knocked doors in frontline districts for...
like Josh Gottheimer, for example, is the one saying it.
I thought it was really unhelpful what Josh Gottheimer said. I thought it was really unhelpful what Jamie Harrison said. This is now time to come together. I'll be out there knocking doors for Democrats much more moderate than I am in frontline districts, whether that's Tom Suozzi or Laura Gillen or Kate Conley or Pat Ryan. And I want to see leaders that say, yeah, okay, these are Democratic voters who voted for Claire Valdez and Daria Liza Chevalier and me. You know, in my district, 65% of Democratic voters voted for me and the politics I was putting out instead of the incumbent. Democratic leadership, instead of demonizing those voters and saying they don't belong in the party, should say, how do we build a Democratic unity that's not moderates versus progressives? Let's make it fighters versus folders and show how we're going to fight for working families.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the race was your endorsement by the mayor, Mayor Mamdani. Do you think that that was a huge impact here for you, or is it more the issues?
Both. Look, I was honored to have his support for sure. It mattered a lot in these races. The cross endorsement we did a year ago in the mayor's race showed people you can play politics like a team sport. And I loved the basketball ad showing, all right, here's what that looks like. But Democratic voters across the country, from Ana Lilia Mejia in New Jersey to Chris Rabb in Pennsylvania to Randy Villegas in California, are saying many of the same things that New York City voters said on Tuesday.
I guess overall, kind of like when you look at it, in terms of the mayor endorsing you, may say, well, now you owe him, and that you'll go to Congress and maybe have his ear.
Well, what I owe is my vote, the people that voted for me and the people I'll represent in Congress, to fight hard in Washington to deliver on the affordability agenda. Of course, that's what he ran on, but that's what I ran on as well. That's what we owe, is the voters of our districts to fight hard to make housing more affordable, to deliver a restoration of those health care subsidies, to protect our immigrant neighbors, like I was back doing yesterday at 26 Federal Plaza. Those are the folks I owe. Yeah, I mean, and you said a lot of the issues and what your plan was for them during our debate right here on Pix 11. But I do want to ask you overall, because I'm listening to you talk about the institutionalized Democrats that kind of are there and how to come together. Hakeem Jeffries is somebody who has been around for quite some time, and some might say, well, it is time for change in that direction. In fact, Claire Valdez and Daria Liza are saying that it may be time for change and that they wouldn't necessarily support him. So do you agree? I mean, the model I have is more like what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did when she got to Congress. She voted for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, and she went and sat in her office with Sunrise to demand action on climate. So we need more energy, more boldness from Democratic leadership, but the Speaker's vote, in my opinion, it will be a time for us to come together. We don't want to do what Republicans did when they took them 15 votes to elect a Speaker. Couple years ago, and they kind of made like a mockery. They showed chaos in their party. You got to be able to have the fights you have in a primary to determine direction, and then you've got to figure out how to have strategic unity, because we're up against Donald Trump, and we got a fascist in the White House, ICE agents in our streets. So we have to figure out how to fight that together. And you're assuming that Democrats will win back the House in November. I will be working real hard to help make sure it happens. And so how do they do that? How do they get over that hurdle? Yeah, by showing people that we are going to fight on those core issues that matter to them. This is where there's so much room for unity on restoring those health care subsidies. Donald Trump just refused to sign a housing bill that Democrats and Republicans in Congress were for. He is giving us a lane. He doesn't care anything about the actual lives of Americans right now, about cost, about inflation, about housing, about health care. We are the party that does, and that's what we've got to show. One of the big races now that's kind of everybody's looking at is a little bit north of here, Mike Lawler versus what would be Kate Conley. That's right. Have you talked to Kate? I did. I congratulated her on her race, and I said whatever I can do to come up and help you win. Okay. Mr. Lander.